Dear apprentice, welcome to English That Works 2.0. This version presents a new structure of guides, characters, activities, video tutorials, and learning materials specially created to accompany you throughout the process so that you accomplish your training in the best possible way. In the next tutorial, you can find the information required to use the course and the platform. Read it carefully and make sure you check and understand each element that can make your work easier throughout your learning process. Let's start. 1. Introduction to the program. 2. Course information. 3. Learning activities. 4. Learning materials. 5. Evidences. 6. Tips. 1. Introduction to the program. Click on the What's English That Works button to access the introduction to the program. Here you can find a full description of the English That Works project as part of the National Bilingualism Program strategy of SENA to get to thousands of Colombians who will benefit from this learning environment. 2. Course information. Click on the button with the name Course Info. As soon as you access, you will find each one of the elements that will provide you with information about the structure, objectives, and rules of English That Works. Get familiar with the general context of the course. Identify the activities you have to do, the number of studying hours in the platform, and the learning outcomes of the course. Make sure you analyze and understand the course methodology. Get familiar with the courtesy rules in virtual environments. 3. Learning activities. In the principal interface of the platform, find and click on the button Learning Guides. This button will take you to a set of folders corresponding to each learning activity. In turn, within each folder, you can find the link to the multimedia versions of the guides. Select the HTML version. In English That Works, you can always find 3 kinds of activities: diagnosis activity, learning activity, and consolidation activity. In the diagnosis activity, you have to take 2 interactive exams. The first one of them is a self-assessment test, whereas the last one will be evaluated by your instructor in order to determine if you can continue with your learning process. In this activity, you can find some learning materials to reinforce your knowledge on lexical and grammatical contents. In the learning activities, you have to explore different learning materials that allow you to learn or reinforce contents aimed at developing different learning evidences. Finally, in the consolidation activity, you have to improve the evidences resulting from the previous learning activities, taking into account the feedback from your instructor. The result of this improvement will be considered as one evidence. Moreover, in this activity, you have to take a final exam about grammatical, lexical, listening, and writing comprehension contents covered in the previous learning activities. Given the particular characteristics of this latter activity, no learning material is presented here. Although there are some differences regarding the length, appearance, and navigation among the 3 kinds of multimedia guides, their structure is basically the same. The procedure to interact with a typical learning guide is described next. Once you access the guide, click on the Startup button to read, listen to, and look at the contextualization and get familiar with the video tutorial. Recognize the communicative situation of each activity and the different stages you have to cover. Follow the stages one by one and take notes on what you have to do in the activity by reading the What to Do display. As you access the stages, read the explanation about how to work on the evidences. You can find this explanation through the How to Do It button. Here you can see what you have to do in each stage. Once you are done with the How to Do It section, you must explore the learning material by means of the What to Study button. Here you can find the learning materials you need to review before you work on the evidences required for the activity. In order to successfully develop the evidences, you must know in advance the assessment criteria for each one of them. Then, check the information that is displayed as you click on the How to Check It button. Here, you can find one or several links that let you see the instruments that will be used to assess your evidences. This will be useful for you to determine the scope of your process in the work on each learning activity. In case you need additional information about the contents of the activity, you can explore the Further section that can be accessed through the navigation panel of the guide. Here, you can find suggestions about extra support materials. 4. Learning materials. Learning materials are review objects that include vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation contents intended to reinforce your knowledge. When exploring the learning materials, take the following aspects into account. After clicking on the What to Study button of any of the learning guides, you can find links to one or more learning materials. You have to choose the one you want to explore. As you access the learning material, you must identify three elements: material title, welcome, and navigation panel. The material title allows you to identify the multimedia name. The welcome text presents a general idea about the contents to be studied. The navigation panel indicates the different parts of the material in order to be able to successfully browse throughout the contents. Each material has the following sections. The warm-up section will allow you to contextualize the learning material. As soon as you finish reading the information, you have to answer some questions in order to determine if you understood the introductory contents. The Get Inside section presents audio-visual contents intended to practice on the listening and reading skills. This section can include drills to determine if you understood the contents. In the Let's Analyze section, some grammatical and lexical explanations are presented about the contents covered in the previous sections of the material. In the Let's Talk section, useful explanations about pronunciation and fluent conversation are presented in the context of the contents of each material. Furthermore, it includes a pronunciation practice tool so that you can improve your pronunciation. This tool allows you to listen, record your voice, and then compare your pronunciation with the one you just listened to. Let's Practice is a section where some exercises are presented to evaluate if you understand the information previously explored or if, on the contrary, you have to review the contents once again. In the References section, the references of the information sources used in the development of the material are presented in compliance with the APA norms. Finally, in the Credits section, the names of the learning material production staff are presented. 5. Evidences. You will have to work on and present 3 different types of evidences: product, knowledge, and performance. For the accomplishment of each one of them, you have to take the following aspects into account. Download the assessment instruments located through the How to Check It button. Take a look at them to know if you fulfilled the requirements of the activity. For product evidences, identify what you have to hand in, when, and how. Once they are completed, upload them to the corresponding space in the Evidences folder of each activity. For knowledge evidences, you have to take an exam that will determine if you can continue with your learning process or if you have to follow any improvement plan. To access the exam, click on the Test button located in each learning guide. For written performance evidences, you have to go to the Forums section of the platform, as indicated in each guide. Do not forget to take the courtesy rules about online participation into account. For oral performance evidences, participate in the web conference sessions scheduled by your instructor. Once again, take courtesy rules for learning environments into account. 6. Tips. Finally, take note of the following recommendations. The minimum time of daily work is 2 hours. Notice you are the manager of your time and you are the one who decides what time and how you work, as well as the way you plan your schedule. Be organized, create a work schedule, and be very strict with the goals you set. Use the communication means established in the platform. You can communicate through the questions and answers, social and featured forums. In case you send an email message, remember that the instructor has a limited waiting time to reply. Download all the forms you have to use. Organize the course files in your hard disk by folders and be very careful with the backup of your files. Carry out your learning process. Make an effort to complete all the activities required and, in case you have any doubt, contact your instructor. The course has a link to a dictionary. You will find a set of highlighted words. When clicking on each one of them, the corresponding definition will appear. Use it whenever you need it and create a glossary where you gradually add new words. Always explore all the material and make sure you understand what is required in each activity. This is the end of the tutorial. Do not forget to check it whenever you have doubts about the course. Good luck!